All I wanted was for Julie Baker to leave me alone. It was the summer of 1957, before the start of second grade. When our moving van pulled into her neighborhood, it was the beginning of what would be more than half a decade of strategic avoidance and social discomfort. She didn't just barge into my life. She barged and shoved and wedged her way into my life. Did we invite her to get into our moving van and start climbing all over boxes? No. But that's exactly what she did, taking over and showing off like only Julie Baker can. It didn't take long to realize this girl could not take a hint.
It's awfully crowded in here with 3 people.
I don't mind. You want to push this one together?
Bryce, isn't it time you go help your mother?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
I mean, nothing would stop her.
Bryce, wait up!
I was about to tell her to get lost when the weirdest thing happened. I couldn't believe it. There I was holding hands with this strange girl. How did I get into this mess?
The first day I met Bryce Losky, I flipped. It was those eyes. Something in those dazzling eyes. They're blue, and framed in the blackness of his lashes, they're absolutely breathtaking. His family moved in across the street right before the first day of school, and I'd gone over to the U-Haul truck to introduce myself.
Hi, I'm Julie.
Bryce wasn't really doing much of anything. I could tell by the way he was acting so guilty that he was supposed to be moving boxes, but he was sick of it. He'd probably been moving them for days. The tragedy of it all catapulted me into the moving van. I had to help. I had to save him.
You want to push this one together?
Hey, what are you doing? You're getting mud everywhere.
I'd been in the van all of 2 minutes when his dad sent him off to help his mom.
Isn't it time you go help your mother?
I could see he didn't want to go.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
So I chased after him to see if we could play a little before he got trapped inside.
Bryce, wait up!
The next thing I know, he's holding my hand and looking right into my eyes. My heart stopped. Was this it? Would this be my first kiss? But then his mother came out.
Well, hello.
And he was so embarrassed. I went to bed that night thinking of the kiss that might have been.
For the past 7 years, I tried my hardest to stay far away from Julie Baker. We were in the same classes at school, but between her desire to be in as many extracurricular activities as possible and the graciousness of assigned seats, I was able to keep my distance. But there was no escaping her at home.
Hi, Bryce. I brought these over for you and your family. My chickens are laying eggs. I had some extra left over and thought you might like some. 6 chickens lay quite a lot of eggs.
I've never been a huge fan of eggs. I mean, I could always just take them or leave them. That is until one day in Garrett's garage, when my feelings about eggs were solidified.
Hey, turn that down. Henna's found her breakfast. It's so cool, she doesn't even have to chew. Hey, Brycey, how do you think she's gonna digest that?
I don't know. Stomach acid?
You'd like to think that. Be real quiet. Here she goes.
I could have gone my whole life not knowing that. I started to have nightmares about the thing swallowing eggs, and rats, and cats. And if it could swallow rats and cats, it wouldn't be too far of a reach to swallow me.
Bryce, hello?
What?
You remember the chickens I hatched for the science fair?
How could I forget? Classic Julie Baker. She totally dominated the fair, even though her project was all about watching boring eggs hatch. I mean, here I had a live-action erupting volcano, and all anyone cared about was Julie's stupid chicks.
The last one's hatching.
Safe to say, she won. But that didn't mean I had to eat her lousy eggs. I mean, if a slimy reptile found them appetizing, there was certainly no place for them in my diet. Thanks.
I didn't think about what I was going to do with the chickens after the science fair. Then they started laying eggs. As it turns out, they laid more eggs than we could eat. At first, we tried to keep up, but after months of boiling, frying, and deviling, but like that movie The Blob, we were being overtaken by eggs. Then I had a brilliant idea. Why not spread the wealth to the whole neighborhood? It was the least I could do. Besides, if I happened to run into Bryce, that wouldn't be the end of the world.
I think it was very sweet of Julie to bring us those eggs.
I don't care. I'm still having cereal tomorrow.
How do we even know there's no chicks in those eggs? What if we crack one open and a dead chick falls out?
Do they have a rooster? If they don't have a rooster, the eggs can't be fertile. Why don't you ask Julie, Bryce?
The next day, I set out to do exactly the opposite. Garrett's expertise in roosters was the cornerstone of our plan to avoid contact with Julie Baker, the balance of which involved spying over her back fence. I can't see the stupid chickens.
We gotta get him out of the coop.
I don't see a...
Shh! Get down!
Here, guys. I know you're hungry. Go on.
Yeah, but they're all chickens.
So there's not a rooster?
What did I just say?
That's what she told you? They're all chickens?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Of course they're all chickens. A rooster is a chicken. The question is one of them a rooster or are they all hens?
That's when it hit me. Garrett didn't know jack shit about chickens. Yeah, that's what I meant. They're all hens.
Then it's all settled.
Not for me. There was no way I was ever going to eat anything that had anything to do with Julie Baker. Well, I'm not eating them.
Why not?
Have you seen their yard? It's all mud and chicken turds.
Ew, gross. Salmonella.
Do you suppose...
They expected me to tell Julie that we don't eat eggs. But it didn't feel right to lie. She'd have to be a fool to believe an entire family was allergic to eggs. But I didn't want to hurt her feelings either. Thus began a life consumed with lies, intrigue, and deception. And I continued it for 2 years. Every morning I'd be on the lookout for Julie, so if she happened to come, I could whip the door open before she knocked.
Hey, Bryce.
Thanks. Then I'd dump the eggs before anyone noticed. Why? Why couldn't I just face her? Just say, no thanks, we don't want them. Was I really afraid of hurting her feelings? Was I just afraid of her?
By the third time I brought eggs over to the Lowskis, I realized Bryce was waiting for me, waiting to pull the door open and say,
Thanks, Julie. See you at school.
And in return, I got a few moments alone with the world's most dazzling eyes. It was a bargain, until the day it wasn't. I was standing on his porch thinking about those eyes of his when...
Julie? What are you still doing here?
I was just thinking...
It's garbage pickup day. Cans are in front.
I know. You need some help?
No. Maybe I'll do it later.
Are those my eggs?
Yeah. I dropped them.
They're not broken. Why are you throwing them away? Don't you want them?
My dad didn't think it was worth the risk.
Risk? What risk?
Salmonella? I mean, look at your backyard. It's a complete mess.
That's not true. Have you always thrown them away?
We just didn't want to hurt your feelings.
You know, Mrs. Stubley and Mrs. Helms pay me for my eggs. As I looked into his eyes, those dazzling eyes, I picked an egg from the top of the garbage bag and smashed it onto that beautiful brown hair of his.
Julie, what the hell?
I didn't know what came over me, but one thing was certain. I was sure I no longer liked Bryce Lowski.
It didn't take me long to realize that I'd traded in my old problems with Julie Baker for a whole set of new ones. All week I tried to approach her at school, but she'd always find ways to duck me. And I couldn't stop thinking about her. I had to talk to someone. Maybe Garrett could help me get back on track. He was surprisingly sensitive when it came to matters of the heart.
Are you freaking mental? You hate her.
That's what's weird. I don't think I do. I can't stop thinking about her.
We're talking about Julie Baker here. Nightmare neighbor, know-it-all nuisance, the poop coop queen.
Shut up!
Hey, have you flipped? What's the matter with you?
You know what? If you're gonna be like this, I don't need the association.
Well, good, because neither do I.
As I walked home, all I could think of was Julie.
Wait, come back. Seriously, I didn't mean...
And I realized Garrett was right about one thing. I had flipped. Completely.
based on the novel by Wendelin Van Draanen, adapted from the movie written by Rob Reiner and Andrew Scheinmann, starring Timothy French as Bryce, Heather Ann Petersen as Julie, James Gabor as Garrett, J.D. Kaz as Mr. Losky, Tori Pense as Mrs. Losky, Jennifer Sneed as Lynetta, and Eileen Berger as young Bryce and young Julie. Directed, edited, and sound designed by Allie Fuller. Audio engineered by Tatiana, Avery, and Julie Hanson. Produced for Florence Barrow Adams Sound Image Class. NYU Fall Semester 2015.